So this is video 5.7c, and this is the problem that we ended with in 5.7b. So let's continue on here. So we are seeing how many times x squared goes into 4x squared, and it goes four times, and then we multiply. And again, you always put the x value, the x's with the same exponent underneath each other. So this minus this is 0, this minus negative is negative 8 plus 8, which is 0, and that gives us an answer of x squared plus 3x plus 4. So this is example 8 on page 372, and again, a little bit tricky, but follows the same procedure. This goes into 6x cubed. How many times? 2 goes into 6, 3. X squared goes into x cubed once because of the 3 minus 2. Alright, now we take 3x times 2x squared and gives us 6x squared. Then 3x times negative 5x, which gives us negative 15x squared, and then 3x times negative 1 is negative 3x. Line minus. Okay, these two subtracted give us 0. Negative 11 minus negative 15 is the same as negative 11 plus 15. Okay, now negative 14x minus negative, or negative 14 plus 3 gives me negative 11x, and I bring down my 3. Alright, now how many times does that go into that? 2x times. 2x squared goes into 4x squared 2 times. So where do I put that 2? Well, I bring it, it doesn't really matter, I'm just going to put it right here. Okay, it doesn't really matter on the top. Some people like putting it over here above the 3, but I don't really care. So 2 times 2x squared, 2 times negative 5x, 2 times negative 1 is that. Alright, let's go ahead and subtract. Those go away. Negative 11 minus negative 10 is negative 11 plus 10, which is negative 1x. 3 minus negative 2 is the same as 3 plus 2. Okay? And at that point I'm done. Okay, I brought down, I was just dealing with the last terms there, and there's nothing else to do once I hit those last terms. So this ends up being plus negative x plus 5 over 2x squared minus 5x minus 1 from this here. And we are done with that one. Alright, so again, it's going to be a lot of practice and a lot of effort to make all this work, but you've just got to keep practicing at it. Alright, so this next part, and one of the things I want you to notice here, this part of the problem, notice what I have as my exponents. I've got a cubed, then I've got a squared, and then I've got a 1, and then I don't have any x's. So 3, 2, 1, 0. When you're doing division, and so far all of the ones we've been doing have followed that pattern, that the largest exponent is first, then the next one, then the next one, and then the next one, and it has to be consecutive. It has to be 3, 2, 1, 0. It can't be 3, 1, 0 and skip this one. If you've got a 6, it'd be 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Has to be that way. So what happens in doing your math problems where you run into some that are not written that way? So let me give you an example here so we can try it. Alright, if we have 2x cubed minus 3x plus 2, and we are dividing it by x minus 5. Okay, problem that we run into is I don't have a squared here. I've got 2x cubed and a 3x, but I don't have a squared in here. 2x cubed. I need something with an x squared. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put one in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a 0 in front of it. So I can put an x squared in there because that actually equals 0 times x squared is 0. So I'm not really adding anything to it, am I? I'm just putting an x squared there so that when I do the math, it makes my life simpler. So if it's missing, you put it in there. Alright, so let's go ahead and solve it then from there. So x goes into this one, 2x squared, because remember this is a 1, 3 minus 1 is 2. Now I multiply 2x squared times x, and I get 2x cubed. 2x squared times negative 5 is negative 10x squared, line minus. Those go away. 0x squared minus negative 10 is 0 plus 10. 0 plus 10 is a positive 10x squared. Bring down the negative 3x. Don't forget to bring those down. Okay, now I look at this. X goes into 10x squared. 10x times. Because again, 2 minus 1 is 1. Alright, so let's multiply 10x times x. And 10x minus 5. Line minus. These go away. Negative 3 minus a negative 50 is negative 3 plus 50. Bring down the 2. Alright, so now we have to figure out x goes into 47x. 47 times. 47 times x is 47x. 47 times negative 5 is negative 235. And there's nothing else to bring down, so I subtract. Those go away. 2 minus negative 235 is positive 237. There we go. So I'm done there. So plus 237 over x minus 5. Okay, so that's my answer. 2x squared plus 10x plus 47. Alright, let's do one more example, and then I'll turn you loose. Alright, so this is example 10. Notice we don't have a number here at the end. Remember I said we have 3, 2, 1, and 0. So I'm just going to add a 0 there just in case we need it. Alright, so 2x squared goes into 6x cubed, 3x times, because 3 minus 2 is 1. Alright, so let's multiply. 3x times 2x squared. 3x times negative 3. Remember, I have to put them above or below what I'm dealing with. In fact, if it helps, you can just put a 0x squared there so that you've always got a number in there instead of a blank space. So these subtracted are 0. 2x squared minus 0x squared is 2x squared, so it just basically brought it down. Negative x minus negative 9x is negative x plus 9x. And then we'll bring down the 0 there. Okay, so 2x goes into this 2x one time. 1 times 2x squared. 1 times negative 3. And again, you can add a 0x here if you need to. So these go away. 8 minus 0 is 8x. 0 minus negative 3 is 0 plus 3. And I get that. Since there isn't anything over here left, I know I'm done. So my answer is now that looks like it's a lot for an answer, and it is, but that's what we get there. So this is number 84, and notice I don't have 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. I have 4, a 2, and a 0. So let's go ahead and write this in a way that it can be done. Now I have a cubed. Now I have an A. There. So let's get this out of here. And let's slowly move along here. So 3a squared goes into 6a to the 4th. 2a squared times. Okay? 4 minus 2 gave us the squared. And 3 goes into 6 twice. This times this. 2a squared times 3a squared. And again, you must get what you had up there. 2a squared plus 2 is 4a squared. Line. Alright, so this is 0. This ends up being 0. This ends up being negative 2 minus positive 4, negative 6a squared. And since 0, since 0 times a is 0, that is a 0 just like this is a 0. So we really don't even need to bring it down. You can, but it's not going to do anything. So this into this gives me a negative 2. Okay, the a squareds disappear. So we multiply negative 2 times 3a squared. Negative 2 times 2. Subtract those, cancel. 9 minus negative 4 is a positive 13. So we get that for an answer. Okay? So yes, these are tricky. Yes, they're hard. But I think you're capable. Watch these few videos. Lots of explanation. I think I covered every possible option from the homework. So you should be fine. So that's it for lesson 5.7, and that completes chapter 5.